Today, I'm testing the most trending TikTok recipes of all time. Starting with these watermelon fries. It's so pretty. But actually, she starts first by making her yogurt dip. So into a blender, she adds some yogurt, a few strawberries, a drizzle of honey, and just blends it right on up. This is looking like the Hailey Bieber smoothie. And now we have to cut the watermelon into crinkle fries. Somebody said, I bet this would be great if you freeze the watermelon. Okay. But now with the crinkle knife, she chops them somehow into fries. The good news is this is sharp enough to cut right through, except mine's not crinkly enough. Somebody else said, this is pretty, but I know 100,000,000% I'm not doing this. Honestly, I've had it saved forever too, and I'm just finally getting around to this. But somebody else said, I would literally pay to have this made for me. I feel like this is the biggest fry I've ever seen. Look at that, I made a fry wreath. But now let's pour in our yogurt sauce. Ooh, it's kind of runny. And here's our watermelon fries with the strawberry dip. I love watermelon, it's my favorite fruit, but sometimes it's pretty bland. So if this yogurt could amp this up, now I can eat watermelon all year round. But I'm skeptical because somebody said, guys, I tried this and it tastes just like fries, French fries, and ketchup. Somehow, I don't believe that. 100% does not taste like fries and ketchup, but it definitely made my watermelon sweeter. For sure. I made the yogurt dip a little runny, but even with that, these watermelon fries get an 8 out of 10. Keep watching because not only do we have the most trending recipes coming up, but they're cozy too. Next up, we have these adorable pumpkin cinnamon rolls. They're not pumpkin spice, they're actually shaped like a real pumpkin. This creator already has her cinnamon rolls all ready to go, but I need to shape mine, so let's roll out our dough. I'm just gonna quickly flour my surface, dump our cinnamon roll dough on top, roll it out. It's already so fluffy. Our dough is nice and rolled out, so now into another bowl, I'm gonna make the filling. I'm gonna mash together some butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon. It is a cinnamon roll after all. Okay, now let's spread it all out. Gotta make sure I spread it all the way to the edge because this is the most important part of the cinnamon roll. And now we roll. And we're almost there. Now I gotta cut it into pieces, and then we want even pieces, so I'm gonna mark them. And now we've caught up to where we need to be to make these cute little pumpkin cinnamon rolls. Okay, I have a baking sheet and I have some cooking twine, and I'm just gonna wrap around each cinnamon roll a few times. So it looks like she makes 3 rounds of ties, and then we have to tie it each time. And it doesn't look like much right now, but I have to finish letting these rise, and then it's gonna look like a little smushed pumpkin. Okay, set it in the pan, and I gotta finish working on the rest of these. But somebody said, I love how everyone is finding ways to pumpkinify things with twine. Obsessed with them all. Ugh, I just love this time of year. And now I have to let these proof and get big for another hour. This super trending recipe looked so good, even SZA wanted the recipe. Since it's soup season again, I think it's time we try this lasagna soup. Okay, he starts by drizzling some olive oil into his pot, and once it's hot, we're gonna saute some onions and garlic. Once those are nice and cooked, he said we can add some ground beef and Italian sausage. So we'll do that, season it with some salt and pepper, and then we're gonna dump in our whole jar of our favorite marinara. And right now, this one from Trader Joe's is my favorite. It's so good. We'll add the whole jar, chicken broth, some heavy cream, and then we're gonna let it simmer for a little bit. It's already looking so good. This reminds me more of tomato bisque with sausage. This is looking quite delicious. And it also smells amazing too. But now he adds in his broken up lasagna noodles. This is kind of like a deconstructed lasagna, but somebody called it the fanciest hamburger helper they've ever seen. Somebody else said, I made lasagna soup tonight too, but used too much pasta, so it ended up looking more like a casserole. I don't like my lasagna soup to have too big of pieces, so I'm breaking them up small. I don't even think my pot can hold that much more. We'll let it cook a little bit more until the lasagna noodles soften, and then we're gonna finish it off with some Parmesan cheese and shredded mozzarella cheese. I've definitely seen some other remakes of this video adding ricotta with basil and everything, but I actually prefer it like this because I don't love ricotta. So this looks perfect. Just tear in some basil pieces like an Italian nonna would. The lasagna noodles definitely thickened up the soup, and I think I played it too safe. I didn't add enough lasagna noodles, but at least there's enough to try. Somebody said, I wish I could steal that pot of soup through the phone. What do you guys think? Looking good? Or meh? We won't know until we try, but like potatoes, I've never met a bowl of soup I didn't like. Oddly enough, it definitely reminds me of tomato soup, but because we added the meat and the lasagna noodles, it really does taste like a deconstructed lasagna. My mind is blown. I might have burnt my tongue in the process of it too, but I definitely make this again, and this lasagna soup gets 8 out of 10. It's about to be spooky season, and what better way to celebrate than to make these blueberry ice balls. Now this is super popular on TikTok, but it's one of those recipes that's always super trending on Pinterest. So let me know if you guys want me to explore that. But she basically just adds a blueberry each into these bubble molds, fills it up with water, and wait for them to turn into spooky ice balls. But before we freeze them, somebody said, try adding a tiny bit of milk to freeze it for it to look more like eyeballs. Well, I have an idea. Since these are already done, what if we made jumbo milky ice balls? I'm not sure how they taste in the drink, but they look cool. These are like quadruple the size of a normal blueberry. Let's add a splash of milk each. Depending on the type of drink that you're putting these ice balls in, I don't know how they're gonna taste, but they'll look cool. Fill them the rest of the way with water, and we chill. Everyone's been obsessed with high protein meals on TikTok, and this is the latest craze. It's the hot honey beef bowl that promises high protein. But you start by peeling and cutting your sweet potato, but just so I don't confuse you guys, the sweet potato is not high protein. It's a carb. Okay, now that we cut them into slices, we're gonna dice them. Then she transfers a sweet potato onto a baking sheet and seasons it with some oil, salt, pepper, and she even sprinkles on a little bit of cinnamon because she says it brings out the flavor and the sweetness of the potato. Seems kind of weird, but I mean, it is called a sweet potato. Let's mix it up and into the oven it goes. Okay, now we work on the beef part of the beef bowl. Into a skillet, she starts by frying up her meat, breaking it up into small pieces. I'm just gonna add a little splash of water to make the meat a little bit more crumbly. It's interesting that she cooks it all the way through before adding any seasoning, because I would have added it right here. Once it's looking like it's almost ready, she takes a paper towel to drain the fat. And I might as well just drain the rest of the water. Still love that. Now to season it, she adds some tomato paste, taco seasoning, and a splash of water, but since I already have some water left, I'm good. Somebody said, I made this today. I will be having this every single day for the rest of my life. That is a bold promise. Is it gonna be that good? We shall see. And now it's time to assemble our bowl. She starts by adding the sweet potatoes first into one section, a little bit of our ground beef. We have one protein to make it high protein. We're gonna add cottage cheese, my favorite. We'll just put that much right there. Now she cuts her avocado and slices right into the bowl. Perfect avocado. I like to peel mine first, makes it easier to cut. And those are the main components, but somebody said, no hate on this. I don't get why they're viral. Seems pretty average. I guess this by itself is pretty average, but somebody else said, I added black beans last night to this dish for some fiber. Somebody else said, pickled onions and shredded cheese makes this even better. Somebody else said, I hear adding a fried egg on top of this is really good. So basically you can customize the toppings to whatever you'd like. And I found this TikTok right here that ended up adding some cucumber tomato salad. She added some pickled onions, feta cheese, and pomegranate, some chili flakes, and of course it's called a hot honey beef bowl. So I got this little baby hot honey. It's so cute. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of hot honey, so I'm just gonna put a tiny little drizzle. And to that TikTok comment, we just took average to amazing. This looks so colorful, beautiful, delicious. Let's try if it actually is. I'm curious about that cinnamon sweet potato. I guess I'll try that cottage cheese with hot honey. And we got a little bit of everything in this one bite. The cinnamony sweet potato is actually really good. It's a little sweet, but she's right, the cinnamon did bring out the sweetness of the potatoes, but it's super balanced with the beef. And then I just love the crunch from the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the avocado. I still don't love the cottage cheese, so it's probably gonna get docked 1 point for that. But overall, I get the hype. This hot honey beef bowl gets a 9 out of 10. It's the next day and our ice balls are nice and frozen. Let's see how they turned out. This is the one we did with the splash of milk, and this is the regular one. I can already see the splash of milk leaking out of the mold, and it looks a little cloudy. It appears our ice balls are a little stuck. They're kind of like googly eyes, but with the milk, you can't really see them that well. Now, if only I can break it out of the mold. How come I always have so much trouble with ice? Are they realistic enough? I can't even see. Get it? But now let's see what the small ones look like. Whoa, I'd say these look a lot better. But somebody said my sister made these for her kids last year to get them in the holiday spirit, and they gagged when they looked at them. But I thought to get us really into the Halloween spirit, I found this Mountain Dew trolley flavor. It's cherry lemon gummy worms. And let's see